Good morning, everyone. I am going to call to order this adjourned meeting of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. I will note that in about 10 to 15 minutes, we will have the council meeting, which is what I'm guessing most folks are here for. But this Intergovernmental Relations Committee was recessed yesterday due to running late and family obligations with staff and a fire drill as well. So kind of the full gamut. I am the committee's chair, Councilmember Andrew Johnson, and I'm joined today by a quorum of our committee members, Councilmember Warsame, Schrader, Vice Chair Jenkins, and Council President Bender. And we have two items for discussion today on our agenda. The first is amending the 2017 federal agenda to incorporate several changes. So I will turn it over to our Intergovernmental Relations Director, Jean Ranieri, to give us a quick rundown of these changes.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. My name is Jean Ranieri. I'm the Director of Government Relations for the city. As you are aware, and for new members, this is the first time some of us may have looked at the federal agenda. The agenda was developed and adopted by the city every 2 years, and it includes policy recommendations and appropriations for Congress and the administration. The focus in the past has really been on appropriations and monies from the federal government, as well as earmarks. And earmarks were, specific appropriations for specific projects. And in our city, we received some of those bridge improvements. The EOTF received some federal funds. Earmarks went away in 2009, so we haven't seen those for almost 10 years. But we have shifted a lot to policy recommendations. What we have today is basically some updates to policies that we have adopted already and some additions to those policies. And if I can go through them quickly.
Absolutely.
Many of these proposed updates and changes are reactions to either proposed rules or guidance to federal programs dealing in the area of family planning, transportation, immigration reform, settlement of refugees, opioid infrastructure, and some tax issues. What we are suggesting and recommending is that in the area of family planning, to oppose a new rule that's being imposed is called a gag rule, and it was actually first instituted by the Reagan administration almost 30 years ago. And it was challenged in court and it was upheld, but the rule itself never was implemented. What the rule does basically would require a separation of family planning services from any sort of consultation and discussion on abortion or other types of family planning, and would rely basically on other types of family planning advice. It also tightens up some of the rules for pregnancy, for teenage pregnancy prevention, and it would put more of a focus on abstinence prevention. In the area of immigration reform, we're recommending opposition to changes in federal rules dealing with what is called the public charge. And the public charge goes way back in history, where the U.S. Immigration Service would look at a person to see if they were physically and mentally competent and also could support themselves. What this administration is doing has not released yet, but has suggested new rules that would tighten those up and expand the types of programs that would be subject to review under public charge. For example, some nutrition programs, some child assistance programs, even some tax credit programs. And this would impact people who are here legally, and who want to change their status. So and the other thing we're putting in there too, or suggesting as a change, was to take out language that suggests that we only support deportation where there is a person who is really violent or has a danger to society, and there not be really enforcement of someone who may have a traffic violation. In the area of infrastructure, we are suggesting that Congress put pressure on the FTA to fully fund and continue to fund the transit programs. There seems to be some concern that the administration may want to stop funding transportation, and particularly transit improvement. So that would be the orange, blue, green line, and that's a big concern for us. In the area of refugees, we are suggesting more funding for the refugee programs, and quicker processing, because right now it's pretty slow. In opioids, just some technical changes, and in the census, we're suggesting, we're incorporating the language that you as a council adopted about a month ago, dealing with this question of immigration and citizenship, and also identification of LGBT. So, Mr. Chairman, in a summary, that's basically what we have.
Excellent. Thank you. Do I have any questions or comments from committee members on these changes? I just really appreciate all the effort of staff to make these changes. I think it's just reinforcing all of our values on a number of fronts, whether that's making sure that every single resident is counted in our census that's upcoming, or that the federal government is stepping up with the resources necessary to tackle the opioid epidemic. It's just important work. So I will go ahead and move these amendments. Not seeing any further comments or questions. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. And Mr. Ranieri, I don't know that we have any updates. We got item number 2. Do we have any updates on federal, state, or local legislative that you want to share?
Mr. Chairman, not at this time, but we will at our next meeting. We are in the process of working with all of our departments to put together some ideas for the legislature for next year. And also, we have just finished the process with the metropolitan cities and also League of Minnesota Cities on their legislative process for next year, and we can have a report on that too.
Excellent. Good. Thank you. So just as a technicality here, we'll move to receive and file this report. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 The motion carries. And with that, I'll let everyone know we'll have about 5 minutes here, 10 minutes, and then the council meeting will begin, which is what I'm guessing you're here for. Thank you, Mr. Ranieri. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.